How's everybody doing out there? Waking up after lunch, feeling good? Great. I'm excited to be here with Suzanne Lazarus of Bio-Rad and Michael Payne of Silk Commerce. So if you guys wouldn't mind, please introduce yourselves to the audience here.
Great. Hello, everybody. I'm Suzanne Lazarus. I'm an IT director at Bio-Rad Laboratories. I lead a global application team that supports sales, marketing, and service operations. In my role, I really sit at the intersection of IT and business, and my goal is to make them work well together so that we're delivering business value versus just technology. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information around Bio-Rad because probably you don't know them too well. But we are a global life science and clinical diagnostics company. Our customers are clinicians, researchers, and scientists. We have many different types of products, everything from a very simple pH testing strip to something extremely complex that does DNA sequencing for customized healthcare. So our brand is really built around scientific innovation and quality. And so whenever we're doing any project, we really have to take all that into consideration in order to make it successful.
That's great.
Great.
Michael?
Yeah, thank you. My name is Michael Payne. I'm the Vice President of Strategy at Silk Commerce. Our primary mission as an agency and systems integrator is to work with manufacturing and distribution businesses to help them transform through whatever stage of their digital maturity they're in. So anything from creative to systems integration to full replatforming, growth marketing, B2B marketing. Not a big believer in the concept of one-stop shop, but there's a few things that we're quite good at. We've been lucky enough to win the B2B Partner of the Year award the last 2 years, which we're quite proud of.
Awesome. Little flex there from
Yeah,
Michael.
little flex.
I dig that. So Suzanne, I think most in this room are probably not as familiar with life sciences and the kind of products you provide and may think your challenges are completely unique to your industry. But when they hear your story, I think they'll learn that they're very similar to the ones many are experiencing out there. So what were some of the business challenges and problems you were looking to solve that drove you to kind of change your B2B portal platform and your operations?
So things move fairly slow at our company, and so we were on old technology. We were using Sterling Commerce. It was over 10 years old, wasn't supported. It was the last system in our data center, and we couldn't even find developers to work on it anymore. So that was a huge reason why we needed to replatform. Plus, our customers were giving us feedback that they were seeing performance issues. They were having a hard time finding the products that they wanted. And then also, we have a lot of different type of users, both internal and external, and having a system that actually can personalize it to them, we weren't able to do. And then our products are extremely complex. So for example, we have something that's called a Prime PCR, and you can only buy it online. It's on-the-go configured, and it varies by country, and it's tightly integrated with SAP. So those were really kind of the things that drove us to needing to make a change.
That's great. And from a business goals perspective, what were you looking to get out of this change?
Agility, really being able to keep up with the industry and what our customers wanted.
Yeah, and Michael?
I'll add to that. I mean, you were on IBM Sterling Commerce, right? 20 or so year old platform, you're on it for 15 years, 10 to 15 years of iterating and iterating and iterating on old tech can be really a hamstring to a lot of organizations that want to continue to innovate and be more modern. And so adding to some of the business challenges I think you shared, I'd also say that very fundamentally you had a technology problem, right? And for a business that wants to move quickly, and agility being a really key KPI for you, feeling like you're stuck in the mud because of technology, it interrupts marketers, it interrupts your IT group, it interrupts C-level, it interrupts customer service, right? And you get all these requests from all these different parties, trying to build something over here, break something over there, trying to fix something over here, break something over there. And so I think you really embarked on an opportunity to kind of componentize e-commerce and separate it away from some of the other complex parts of your tech stack. And I think that compartmentalization, particularly for a large enterprise like yours that wants agility and speed to market for new features, is really, really important. So embracing that modern, composable, headless kind of commerce as an independent but also unified element, I think was a big driver for you.
Yeah, and I think I remember when we were prepping for this and we were having conversations, the ability to launch new categories, the ability to launch new products, and the ability to launch in new markets. And you didn't touch on this, but I'd love for you to share with the audience the scale of this site and portal that's out there for Bio-Rad.
So it's quite large. I mean, we have so many different features and functionality that we needed to build in. Our project took us over a year to implement, and there's a lot of complexity to it. And moving from something that is just a monolithic system to being headless, like you mentioned, transform the way that we are able to do business, and the flexible APIs. So just all of that really fed nicely into how big and robust the system was.
Cool. And obviously you found Silk.
Yes.
So when you think about that, how did you embark on this journey with Silk software? Some people may look at a complex international rollout as something that you want to crawl, walk, run, take it step by step and build a roadmap, versus others, maybe like yourself, that want to go big bang. Let's launch in every market from the get-go. So can you talk about that journey, working with Silk and the approach that you took?
Sure. So at Bio-Rad, we have very detailed processes. So whenever we bring on a vendor, we need to go through an evaluation process. And we did that, and Silk actually made it to the top very quickly. And it wasn't just because of their BigCommerce knowledge. A lot of it was they fit in well with our culture. And so once they were onboarded, we worked together to build a project plan. And I say together deliberately because Silk actually became an extension of our team. They had Bio-Rad badges, they participated in our Scrum and our PI planning, and they had a seat at the table just as equal as a Bio-Rad person. And you're gonna run into challenges when you do a large project. And Silk was able to bring their knowledge to help us troubleshoot and really build a path forward to get us out and moving forward.
Yeah. Now, I'll add to that if I can. I mean, I think particularly with a project of this scale, with this amount of moving parts and this complexity, establishing a really strong working relationship and having that be a focal point early in a project is paramount, right? I like to call it kind of talent comparative advantage, right? And I remember kind of early on, we sat down and said, what are all the things that Silk are really good at? What are all the things that you guys are really good at? And let's build a project plan and a program around the comparative advantage of those talents, right? Really creating kind of a 1 + 1 = 3 kind of scenario, right? How can we be multiplicative in terms of the outputs of our partnership? And we were completely embedded, like you've mentioned, effectively Bio-Rad employees for almost a couple years. And I think there was a level of intensity as well as respect that was built through that relationship. We were meeting every single day. We were constantly discussing risk mitigation. We were trying to look a little bit ahead down the road to see how we can plan properly, as well as, like I said, mitigate risk in order to hit our deadlines and make our milestones, right? And the thing I stress with every customer of ours, small, medium, or otherwise, is every project, there's going to be a proverbial whatever hits the fan. Like there's gonna be some period, and actually it's probably more than one period, where things are gonna get difficult. There's some unforeseen circumstance that comes up and really impacts the project. And if that working relationship and that respect that is ingrained into that working relationship isn't intact, then it's really hard to get through those stages. You end up with finger pointing and you did this and we should have done that. And instead it turns into, we have a problem as a partnership, let's work together in order to solve that. And I feel like we emphasize that really well, along with our kind of implicit cultural alignment that we had from the get-go.
Yeah, I like how you said that. I mean, you'd love to sell the perfect project, you'd love to deliver the perfect project, but if you've ever remodeled a house, the proverbial S hits the fan multiple times, you may be, I love this analogy, thinking that this wall that you want to knock down is not load bearing, only to find out that it is, and that, sends your whole project plan into a tizzy. So let's go back to that point though. That relationship is key and paramount to making sure things are delivered well, and trust is a huge piece of that. And again, as I understand it, you did go big bang on this. You launched in all regions, all markets. Tell me a little bit about that and how that trust factor came into play to make sure that that went off without a hitch.
Yeah, so we worked with Silk to build out our release plan, and we went back and forth. Do we do big bang? Do we do it by region? Do we do it by product? And we decided to go all in, and that is scary. I mean, it is huge. We're global. We have tons of products, and we decided to go all in. And so we launched. I held my breath, and it was silent. And it was incredible that all the work that our teams did together actually worked. And when you're sitting in our seats, that is just music to our ears. So it was an incredible project to be a part of, and we made the right choice by going big bang.
Yeah. I mean, just some basic numbers, right? You guys have 130,000 SKUs, but SKUs can be country specific. So those actually resolve out to about 2.3 million independent country specific SKUs. You have 2.3 million price records. At any given time, you have about 200 promos running, right?
Yes.
And all of that across a global scale, and all of that managed from a single back end, driven through a single front end. And so it was, a lot of risk mitigation and program management, and being decisive and committed to our strategy and our plan. But also, frankly, having to be incredibly creative from a technical standpoint, working together. And that's where, again, that talent comparative advantage is really important, where we're able to deploy our strengths into BigCommerce and into headless commerce and into systems integration. Your team was excellent within your own systems. You can give us 10 years and we won't know your business as well as you understand yours, right? And so I think that divide and conquer and really clear roles and responsibilities made what on paper and what in reality is a very complicated project, I wouldn't say simple, but achievable.
For sure.
I'll put it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not a typical pattern for something of that size and scale and that level of complexity. Lots of customers, lots of contract-specific pricing, different regions, multi-language, multi-currency. Again, to your point, millions of SKUs or permutations based on the way those rules and the logic is rolled out. So amazing to do that. Big bang. You hardly ever see that. I don't know that I would advocate for doing that, although we do like it on the sales side because it's a quicker win to a bigger deal. But thank you for taking that leap of faith and making it work. So when you think about building a new site, a new portal, there's education that has to happen. It has to happen internally and externally. You have to train your internal users that merchandise the site or your sales team that's going to leverage the site to help them sell, and then your customers, that are used to buying from you in a different fashion to take a new journey with you and learn this new system. So speak to us a little bit about change management, because it's always a huge part of any kind of replatform of this nature. And how'd you go about it, or some of the tactics that you used to ensure that the different teams that were going to access the portal had the information they need to access it and use it well?
Change is very challenging at Bio-Rad, and we learned many years ago that if you want something to be successful, you have to have a really solid plan. And so for our change management, we break it down into 4 components, I would say. So we've got sponsors, people managers, training, and communications. So for our sponsors, we really make sure that they understand the why so that they can go out and advocate for the project. For our people managers, we make sure that they have all the information so that they can get their teams up to speed. And then for training, there's so many different types of user types that are that were coming onto the system, so we build training tracks for each one of those. And then I think communication is the most important. We start communication really early in our projects, and then so by the time that we do launch, everybody's on board, they know what's happening. And this is extremely helpful when you run into issues, because if you run into a problem and our business has been with us the whole way, they're going to be more forgiving. So as long as you take them along that journey, they're much more forgiving. And so that's really how we address change management.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
Michael, any role that Silk played in the change management aspect of rolling up this new site?
We were more on the documentation. I mean, I would say that our role was really to educate your project team so that you can then downstream from that educate all the different users. And it's every user, right? I think what we see particularly in B2B commerce or B2B digital solutions is a really, really good outcome is one where both external users, being your customers of different personas and types, but also your employees and your internal users look at it as an asset, not a liability, right? And they actually utilize it for very similar reasons. That actually is a strong KPI for us when we're working with customers. In general, for projects, we do what we can. I mean, look, e-commerce is or digital experiences in general. It's not if we build it, they will come. You need to market it. You need to push it. It needs to be something that really works from the C-level down inside the organization. It needs to be part of the helix of the DNA of the business, right? And I firmly believe that your customers can kind of smell whether you're committed or not, right? If you're not committed to digital being a function of the ease of doing business with you, then your customers will recognize that and they won't adopt it. And one of the metrics that we always want to look at with our customers, particularly in B2B commerce, is you have your overall revenue of how whether that's fax or EDI or it's over the phone or it's through a sales rep, right? What portion of that revenue can you move online to create larger basket sizes, to create more efficient ordering? And we're in this age where individuals from a digital purchasing standpoint, they're already empowered at home. They feel like they can go online, in 5 seconds they can buy what they want. So the actual consumer behavior end of it, it's not something that we need to teach or impress on them or convince them. It's more about the enablement, it's more about the education, and you having to do that at a global scale must have been very challenging as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on a few points that are really interesting, which is one, I love this notion if you build it, they will come. Well, that's not true, obviously, in commerce anymore, and especially not even in B2B, where you're predominantly shifting channels, and you think I've got a captive audience, but you still need to educate them. And I like what you said, that if they smell that you're not committed, then that's going to lead to a poor outcome. So last but not least, trust. Trust, I think, is huge in any kind of relationship. And when you're going through a re-platform, it's very much about trust with the internal project team, with your vendor like BigCommerce, with your partner like Silk, and ensuring that you've got that trust. And so making sure that is relayed to the other folks that are going to be using the system. And they're not going to have trust if they don't believe it's going to work well for them, which kind of leads to my next question, which is, talk to me about some of the outcomes, the key outcomes that you had that are measurable. What were some of the results of this transformation?
So I sit on the technical side, so I'll start there. Going from the monolithic system over to a headless architecture that leverages APIs allowed us to move twice as fast. And I mean, that is a huge win, both from the technical side, but also from our business sides. On the business side, we really looked at the customer experience. 2 features I'll share with you. One is the buy now. Over 50% of our customers only buy one product at a time. So this really streamlined the process for them. We also have a lot of folks that have standing orders. The old system took 5 pages in order for them to get through to the purchasing. Now on the new system, it's just 1 page. So those are big wins from a user experience standpoint. We also were able to roll out additional regions, and it's been nice watching the revenue move from offline to online, and kind of watching those graphs go up. But yeah, I mean, we've just seen, I think a little of what we are going to see. I mean, with this platform and with the APIs, there's so much potential.
That's amazing. I mean, taking an experience that takes 5 pages worth of work to get through, consolidating that down to 1 page, I'm sure has to improve your conversion rates, and again, make it easier to adopt and get new folks to take this channel versus calling their local salesperson that's that's on your side. Michael, any
Yeah, I'll add
thoughts
to that a little bit. You know, I mentioned, I think the conversations that we have really early in the project also need to happen towards the end of the project, which is to deliver this project, what are the roles and responsibilities? What is that 1 + 1 = 3 complexion, right, between our team? As we launch, we also need to have that same conversation of what does our post-launch relationship look like? And it was very clear to us that, you know, first of all, Bio-Rad has an excellent IT organization, excellent e-com organization. The plan from day one was at some point you guys would bring it in-house, right? Our goal was really to build a sustainable, scalable, sort of democratized solution for Bio-Rad. And by democratized, I mean e-commerce touches so many different parts of a business, from marketing side to the sales side to the customer service side, you know, to e-com as its own pillar of the business, right? And so, you know, the software development lifecycle and the you know, how that's gotten simpler and more predictable is one thing, but also understanding that we now, I believe, have a solution for you where the marketer can do their job and the developer can do their job, right? And the salesperson can do their job and the customer service can do their job. And on top of that, they actually have to do less of their job because e-com takes a lot of that responsibility away from internal folks, and it actually empowers the customer themselves, right? So I'd say major outcome is just establishing a firm, stable, composable infrastructure that you can actually take and run with, even though you don't, you know, you yourself aren't a big commerce partner, right? You can take it and run with it. And the last thing I'll add is, frankly, we learned a lot from Bio-Rad. Like, I think that through working with you guys, we are actually a better organization, and our processes are better, our mentality is better, our intensity is better. As an agency, I think we're a better organization after this project than we were before. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So after going through this journey, I think there's other folks out there considering taking one themselves and would love to have similar outcomes like the ones that you've experienced: agility, quick time to market, reduced friction, more adoption from your user base. If you're going to share something with another B2B brand that's out there looking to start, what are some of your key recommendations for those folks in the audience considering a B2B re-platform?
First, I would say put your customer first. Really understand what is working and what isn't working, and focus on, you know, what needs to be improved. Then also what I would say is business alignment. I think that is key. Bring in your business partners early. Have them, you know, participate not just for feedback, but to actively help with selecting both the technology and the system integrator. You know, when you're aligned like that, it makes a huge difference, and it makes these changes go over a lot better. For SI, when you're selecting them, make sure you're not just looking at their credentials, but make sure that they're a good culture fit for you. And then last is planning. I mean, you cannot underestimate the amount of time and effort that this type of project is going to take. And, you know, making sure that you put the time to do that planning in is key.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I remember early in the project, again, 15-year-old or so platform, 15 years of iteration. You went through a lot of exercises to kind of remember what had been built, right? Like,
We didn't have a lot of documentation.
you know, kind of knocking the cobwebs off of stuff that were really, really valuable to customers. But, you know, maybe to the contrary, looking at, say, let's say you had 100 features, well, maybe only 90 of them are really productive to your customer experience, right? And so I think these re-platform opportunities, these re-platforms are, there's a lot of opportunities associated with those, one of which is sort of cutting the fat off a little bit and focusing on the things that really target value to your customers. And I know that you guys spend a lot of time speaking with your customers, voice of the customer exercises, understanding what they need, small tweaks here and there, and that's all part of post-launch kind of continuous improvement, but also should go into while you're replatforming, while you're taking the time, while you're making the financial investment, why not find opportunities to optimize along the way? So as much of this project you can kind of maybe refer to as a lift and shift, because we were moving it was like, let's get off this old technology, let's get on to a new technology, right? That can be a little bit distracting. You have to also find ways to optimize along the way without creating scope bloat, and like there's an interesting art and balance to that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a couple things here which are paramount, I think, for everyone. One is know thy customer, right? And what does the customer need? What's the experience that we need to deliver to the customer? And the other thing I heard from you, Michael, which I've seen time and time again, is the kind of the 80-20 rule. Is like, where do you want to invest your time? You need to invest on the bang for your buck and not building things that aren't necessarily germane to the customer or important for them. So to your point, trim the fat. At the same point in time, you have to deliver a project that's outstanding, and it is called a transformation for a reason, because you get an opportunity to not simply lift and shift, but improve the experience for your internal users, your buyers, and others that access your site and your brand. So, amazing story. Love hearing it. I mean, you just don't typically hear a brand like yourself, a $2-3 billion organization that's doing hundreds of millions online, transforming their business like this, globally launch that big bang. That is in and of itself unique, and love hearing that story. Looking forward, you've got agility, you've got this composable architecture, and you can launch in new markets, you can launch new categories, new products, experiences quickly. Where are you looking to invest? What is on the roadmap now for Bio-Rad?
The possibilities are endless. So right now what we're really focused on is self-service. Our customers want to be able to get all of their information by themselves. They don't want to call customer service. And so that's a huge part of what we are doing right now. The next one, I think we'll look at personalization. If we've got a researcher that is logging in, we should know what they're doing, what they want to do, and take them down a workflow that supports that. And then the one that everybody talks about, AI. There's so much potential on a website leveraging AI. So right now we're looking at search, but then product recommendations, support. There's so much we can do around AI. So those are really where we're looking right now.
That's great. Michael, anything to add? Supporting them through this process still?
Yeah, we are. Our relationship is, I would say, a more specialized one. So I would say that the core of your infrastructure you guys own at this point, we're really coming in for maybe more complicated projects that really implicate the customer experience in very nuanced ways, and bringing a lot of our kind of unique tenured BigCommerce experience to the table. And so we're very excited to continue to be part of your innovative roadmap.
That's awesome. I love hearing it. All right, folks. Well, that's what we have for you today. I want to do a couple of things. One, I want to thank Suzanne and Michael for being here with us today. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Secondly, I want to thank all of you for being in the audience and participating and paying attention. Really appreciate it. And then last but not least, I want to do a little plug here. So you saw Lance on stage earlier. He's our GM of B2B. If you're interested in B2B, we've got the B2B Bites podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify. These types of stories are the types of stories that you'll hear on B2B Bites from customers, from other partners in the ecosystem. I highly encourage you to go and subscribe. 30-minute episodes. You'll learn a ton. It's fantastic. So when you get a chance, please check it out. And again, thank you for joining us at Big Summit. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.